So my play is called The Heart of Education. I wrote it very recently. But no, this is something, I didn't plan to write, but when it came to me, I just felt like I had to. It's very important to me, and it's centered around critical race theory. And I know that may be like a kind of scary term, but it shouldn't be. And that's what my play is about, to make sure that y'all know it's not a scary term to talk about. It's not something you shouldn't talk about at all. It's actually something you should and shouldn't be kept from talking about. And I totally forgot to mention that I'm a senior and I'm a little Cooper. When do I let them know?
When do I get to know?
Why do they have to know?
We knew we would have to explain it to her someday.
I grew up in that society. I know what it's like.
But as precious as she was, we knew the world would only tear her down, so for as long as we could, we vowed to protect her, at any cost.
But what is the cost of protection?
Be careful, son.
Why?
You don't know them and what they might do. You must be ready to protect yourself at any cost.
Protect myself? At any cost.
As simple as it may sound, I got into teaching to educate kids. The world is not the same as it was many years ago, and I want my students, my kids, to know how to learn, communicate, and do something about what's going on in our world today. For every student, I will fight for their right to knowledge in my classroom, no matter the cost. All right, guys, welcome to history class. Sure, everyone is just so excited to be here. Well, I'm excited, and I'm optimistic that this year is going to be a great one. The curriculum is just like any other history class you've taken. Each unit will cover a different time period, but because this is a higher level course, I will be expecting more from you guys with assignments and such. Sound good? At least a nodding of heads. Okay, good. Let's get started. Tough crowd, though it was the first day, so I wasn't too worried. I began the lesson where the curriculum says I should. The founding of America. I know it's not the most exciting thing in the world, and I'm sure these students have already heard the same lesson, just in different fonts. Did I use that correctly? Anyways, I know this because I've been through school. I've been where these kids are. Plus, I noticed when they stopped taking notes one by one, thoughts going through their mind of, I'm sure there's a quiz that I can find if there's a test, or my brother took this class, I'll just ask him for his notes. As a teacher, that breaks my heart. These students have not been shown the true beauty of learning, the heart of education. It's not about knowing the facts. It's about what you do with them, how you respond to them. That's why I encourage my kids to respond, even if it's just a simple nod of agreement. So, to conclude the day, I ask them, does anybody have any questions? Hey, sweetie, what's your name?
Amelia.
Well, Amelia, did you have a question?
Oh, no, I'm good.
Are you sure?
Yeah, no, I'm all good.
Okay. Well, I want you guys to know that if you ever have a question, don't be afraid to ask. That's what I'm here for. Yes, sir, in the back.
Yeah, when are we gonna learn something important?
What do you mean?
When are we gonna learn something worth learning about?
Well, what do you want to learn about?
I don't know, just something other than the script.
What's your name?
Aaron?
Well, Aaron, I will be expecting an answer from you tomorrow. In fact, that goes for everybody. I want you to go home tonight and think, if I could learn about anything in this class, what would it be and why? It could be anything you think is important. All right, guys, have a great day. Amelia, can I talk to you for a second? I get it's only the first day, so it may feel weird to ask questions. And I know maybe not many other students may be asking questions, so it may feel awkward to ask. Am I right?
Yeah.
Well, it's completely normal to feel that way, but it's not okay to let that feeling keep you from speaking up. I want you guys to ask me questions. It's important to me that you guys leave this room with more of an understanding than you came in with. Does that make sense?
Yes, ma'am.
Never stop asking questions, okay? Have a great day.
Thank you, Miss Reeves.
Breaking news. Young man is shot and killed after man claims him to have looked suspicious and responded in self-defense.
What? I don't understand.
Oh, hey, son, you're home. How was school?
That's horrible.
What's that? Oh, that's, yeah, I just finished pulling the weeds out in the yard, and it's quite a mess. You think you can head out there and hose down the gravel?
What?
The gravel, it's covered in...
No, what about this?
What about it?
It's wrong, don't you think?
No, I mean, it's unfortunate, but he had it coming for him.
Had it coming for him. What?
You heard him. He was acting in self-defense. And if the boy looks suspicious, who can blame him? They all look suspicious to me.
Looks suspicious, Dad.
Hey! Before you even think talking back to me, make sure you know the whole story. It's not that important anyway.
The young man was a 17-year-old African-American, unarmed with his hood up in the pouring rain. He was said to have just bought a couple items from a convenience store and was on his way home.
I don't understand. Why did this happen? Come in! It's not important.
Hi, sweetie. I didn't even hear you come in.
Hey, Mel.
Hi.
How was school?
It was good.
Good, huh? Did you learn anything?
Yeah, my teacher told me today to never stop asking questions.
Of course, baby. You should always ask questions. Do you have any homework?
Yeah, actually, I have to think about something I want to learn about.
What do you mean by that?
I'm not sure. My history teacher just said anything I think is important.
Well, what's important to you?
I don't know. I hadn't really thought about it, actually.
Well, I'll tell you that school certainly wasn't like that when I was your age.
Danny, honey.
Back then, we didn't have the same what was taught. But if somebody thought they had something to add, whew,
Honey,
You saying, Dad?
don't worry about it, sweetie.
Mom, Dad was talking about what school was like for him.
It's not important right now, okay? Please, let's just talk about something else.
what did you say your homework was again, Mel?
I have to think about something I want to learn about. Anything I think is important or something.
Well, that doesn't sound sorry now, does it? Gee, if school was that simple back in my day, I would have passed with flying colors.
What was it like, Dad?
Oh, you don't want to hear about that. Unless the long walks through the fields and the rocky ground, barefoot for miles, and the early morning. The alarm clock to wake me up is really interesting.
Was it really like that?
Yeah, it was a horror.
Oh, you poor baby.
Hey!
Don't listen to him.
I guess it's not important.
Breaking news. Young man is shot and killed after man claims him to have looked suspicious and responded in self-defense.
Oh my. They look like me.
Goodness, your dad's too much sometimes. Honey, what's wrong? Here, let's change it.
No.
But if it's making you feel this way, why would you want to keep watching it?
Because I think it's important.
So you want to feel this way?
What? No,
I just don't understand why you would want to keep watching something that makes you feel this way.
It's not because I want to feel this way. I want to know what happened and why someone would kill someone just because of how they look, don't you? I mean, this is crazy.
No, I don't want to understand the mind of a killer.
It's not like that.
Why would you use that word?
What? What word?
Crazy. Would you want someone to call you crazy?
No, I'm just describing the situation.
I don't like that word.
Mom, it's just crazy. It's not
Just
about...
stop saying it, turn that off, and go work on your homework.
I thought I was, but I guess that's not important either.
Protect her. At any cost.
So did y'all guys do the homework? I did.
We got homework?
Yes. Were you not listening?
No, he wasn't, because someone was asleep for over half the class.
I was not.
Sure you weren't. Okay, then what's the answer you're going to want?
1492.
1492.
Okay. Now what about you, Aaron? Did you think of something other than this crap?
Did you?
Of course I did. I don't think Sculptures is enough for the role.
That's an understatement.
What about you, Amelia? Think of anything?
I'm not sure. It's hard to label important.
All right, guys, have a seat. We'll be getting started right away. All right, let's jump right in. I'm assuming everyone remembered their homework assignment. Who wants to go first? Aaron, why don't you start us off? What's something important to you that you'd like to learn about?
There was this.
There was what, Aaron?
Nothing. It's not important.
No, it's okay. Finish your thought. It
It's
was.
nothing.
That's okay. You don't have to share right now.
Sometimes I wish I could just bite my tongue, not let things get to me. If I had, I wouldn't have this stupid homework assignment. My dad wouldn't be mad at me, and my mom, she wouldn't have left. Oh. My dad always tells me if I don't know the full story, to not ask questions or just listen to what he says. Class continued when I didn't say anything. Miss Reese asked a couple more questions. Other kids stood up, raised their hands. Learning how to pay taxes is important, Miss Reese said.
Knowing how to get a job is also very important.
Who am I to disagree? At least they spoke up.
Anyone else? Yes, Amelia.
It's more of a question.
That's perfectly fine.
What does it mean if something is important to you?
That's an excellent question. I believe something is important to you if it evokes a response out of you.
A response?
Yes. It begins with a feeling. When you read, hear, or watch something, like on the news, for example, it evokes a feeling out of you, right? And sometimes it's a good feeling, but other times it's not. It can make you feel sad, angry, confused, but don't dismiss that feeling. The feeling sparks curiosity, a curiosity that leads you to want to learn more and better determine why it's important to you.
When you say response, do you mean an action of some kind?
Yes, a feeling is only the beginning. It could be that you're failed to feel that way because you're meant to do something about it.
How do I know what something I'm supposed to do?
How do I know it's me who has to do something?
Well, you already know what's important to you. It's got you thinking and forming opinions on why you might need this information. Like how it may help you to know how to pay taxes, or how it might better help you get a job in the future. Begin thinking about your topic. In fact, that is your next homework assignment. Go research your topic. Whether you share it today or not, it's still important to you. And it's important to me that you get to learn about it. But in the meantime, this is still a history class, and I still have to teach you. I know. Aaron, do you have a minute?
Yeah, what's up?
Are you okay?
Yeah?
It just seemed like yesterday you were very open about sharing how you felt, and then today you didn't want to share your topic. I didn't mean to upset you when I called on you. It's just, are you not comfortable in this class?
No.
What we're learning about?
No, it's not that. Sometimes I tend to blurt out the next thing that comes to mind. I'm sorry.
No, the response is fine. In fact, I encourage it. Of course, tone matters.
Right. Sorry. I didn't mean to disrespect you or anything.
No, I'd have to disagree. You guys have learned the same thing over and over again. Undeniably, the same things are going to get old over time. It's okay to question why that might be.
I never knew we could have a say in what we're taught.
Of course you can. That's how we learn and how we grow as people.
A response.
Exactly. Now, I don't want to force you to tell me now, but I do want to encourage you to look into your topic, okay? Don't be discouraged, just be curious.
Thank you.
Of course, have a great day.
Rob, what are you doing?
Just looking.
For what?
Just looking.
Don't lie to me, boy.
She's looking for something in Mom's. She's always the curious one.
Curiosity versus what got her killed.
I know. I just wanted to see if she wrote some things down in a journal or something. I need it for an assignment.
What's the assignment?
It doesn't matter.
What's the assignment?
It's not important.
What's the damn assignment?
It's about the black kid on the news. Okay?
Don't you say that, boy!
Say what?
We all know what he looks like. There's no need to say it. And didn't I tell you not to concern yourself with that nonsense?
You tell me all the time not to say anything if I don't know the full story. Did it ever occur to you that maybe I wanted to know the full story?
You want the story? Fine. It's people like that boy who killed your mother. It's people like him who don't care for the lives of others, which makes me wonder why I should care for theirs. How's that for a story?
How do you know that?
Are you questioning me? You don't think I know how my wife was killed?
I asked her to go out that night.
What does that have to do with
I asked her to get me a book for my assignment. So tell me, Dad, what role did I play in Mom's death?
Nonsense.
Is it? Or is it that you refuse to see this for what it is?
Just shut up!
I may not know that boy's story, but I know Mom's. Neither of them deserve to die.
Hey, Dad.
Hey, Mom.
Where's Mom?
She's in the bedroom. Not quite up to hearing about my sports expertise.
Okay. Can I ask you about something then?
Do you want to hear about how my soccer team's going to destroy their opponents?
No, not exactly.
Maybe some other time. What's on your mind?
Well, I was wondering what growing up was like for you.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, you started talking about it the other day, and something about it interested me. Call it a response of some kind.
Well, if you want to know, to start, school wasn't the same for me as it is for you.
Well, I mean, yeah, I'm sure.
I didn't feel like I had the same privilege as some of the other students.
How come?
That's because mixed classes was a relatively new concept,
Mixed classes?
as in a classroom full of kids of different races.
Oh,
I noticed a difference between white people and black people. White people had nice clothes and the newest shoes, but black people, like me, we didn't have that. We had pants with holes in them and shoes that were oversized.
well, couldn't your parents have just bought you guys some new clothes?
That's the thing. Mixed environments were allowed, but not very common. There weren't many other mixed environments.
What does that mean?
It wasn't normal at the time for black people to share certain opportunities with white people, like living in the same neighborhood or having similar jobs.
How did this affect you growing up?
I didn't like it. I especially didn't like it because my mother was paid less, similar to other black parents at the time. In fact, many were paid less because of the way they looked. Because of that, things like better clothes were unaffordable to them.
How they looked? Did they wear tattered clothes too?
No. The way they looked as in the color of their skin.
They were paid less because they were black?
Yeah.
Does that mean that somebody could also get hurt because they're black?
Unfortunately, yes. And it's sad to say it's not much better now.
Like with that boy from the news?
Sure, now it's more common for schools to have mixed classes and way more opportunities for their students. But it's not like that in many other places, let alone in society.
I don't understand. Why? Why is he being treated differently just because of the color of his skin? It doesn't make sense. It's crazy.
What did I tell you about that word?
Mom.
What are you guys talking about?
Mel was asking me how school was back in my day.
That's so. I thought we discussed that we would talk about this later on.
I know, but she asked.
You didn't tell her about your run-in, did you?
No, I didn't, but I think she's old enough to
I
know.
don't! I think we need to wait till she's older.
Older. Older for what? To know what it was like for Dad when he was my age?
Mel?
Sweetie, it's more than that. And given how you're reacting now, I can tell that you're not ready.
Not ready for what? How could you possibly know what I'm ready for if you won't have one real conversation with me?
We're not discussing this anymore. You're not old enough, and that's final.
As final as a 17-year-old's murder?
That's enough. I already told you not to concern yourself with the mind of a killer.
I'm not concerned about the killer. I'm concerned about the killed. I'm concerned that you won't talk about
What's
this.
there to talk
The
about?
fact that he looks like me!
Sweetie, it's not.
It's not what, Mom? You're gonna tell me it's not important?
It's not a discussion for right now.
Mom! Dad.
Breaking news. On the evening of February 26, 2012, young African-American teen Trayvon Martin is shot and killed on his way home from a convenience store. On his way home, it began to rain. Trayvon put on his hood and found the nearest cover. At the same time, the captain of the neighborhood patrol was said to have seen Trayvon. In light of recent report of break-ins and burglaries, the captain called the police and described Trayvon to have looked suspicious. After being told by police responders were on their way and for the captain to avoid following the young man, the captain ignored police commands. Soon after, a gunshot was heard and Trayvon was found dead. The captain was found to have several minor injuries, but when questioned, he claimed to have acted in self-defense. There were no eyewitnesses to the shooting, leaving parts of the case inconclusive.
Good morning.
hear what everybody learned about their topics. Amelia, how about you start us off?
Okay. I've noticed that classes are more mixed now than they used to be, like with different races.
It certainly is, and that's important to education. How does that pertain to your topic?
My topic? Well, I was wondering why.
Why what, Amelia?
Why? Why won't you tell me? What's so wrong with letting me know, letting me understand, letting me in? All my life, I've never really known my parents. It wasn't that they weren't there for me, it's just that that's all they were, just parents. I've never felt like we ever had a genuine moment or conversation. It's always just been, you're not old enough or you're not ready. What happened to it being okay to ask questions? You ask me every day how my day at school was. Why is it so different when I ask?
Amelia?
It was just something I noticed.
Okay, class, we're going to do something a little bit different today. During today's lesson, don't worry about taking notes, memorizing key points, anything. While I teach, I want you to form responses about the people that we learn about. Focus on what it makes you think of, how it makes you feel, and anything that may stand out to you. Let's start with Christopher Columbus.
Christopher Columbus.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Why do you think it's hard for these things to stay important for your age group?
We're always taught the same thing again and again, you know? It's how could that possibly stay interesting?
I agree. I think that's why education is the same. The true meaning of learning has been lost, warped, and manipulated into a plan for high ratings and income. For some, at least. We need to get back to the heart of education.
Art?
What?
Education is meant to inspire. It's meant to teach the next generation about the past and the lives of others.
What do you mean?
Well, it's not what you're supposed to take from the story of Christopher Columbus. He was actually the greatest failure in American history. Yes, as you know, he was searching for a shortcut to Asia, but actually landed in the Caribbean, not even North America. He began his journey towards fame and fortune. What he had in ambition, he lacked in preparation. He actually made several trips to the West Coast, none of which were in North America, but always ended in one devastation or another. Could be abandoned crewmates, the broken promise to the Spanish monarchs, and the desiccation of an entire native population, and eventually his own imprisonment and death.
Wait, if he's such a failure, then why is he so celebrated? If his success was so fabricated?
Well, his failure actually inspired centuries of further exploration of the West Coast and a long-lasting system for the economy.
The Columbian Exchange, right?
Correct.
Wasn't that also the start of the slave trade?
Yes, it was. Years of oppression, devastation, and cruelty were inflicted upon African people as they were unwillingly taken from their homes and forced into new countries they've never known.
That's terrible.
It certainly was. I don't believe anyone today could imagine the severity of what many Africans had to endure, the degrading labels placed upon them.
I don't get it. I mean, wouldn't they stand up against something as unfair as that?
You're right, and they definitely tried, but the consequences were dire. They were already being enslaved, sold, and beaten. These things separated families, destroyed years of genealogy, and began the many chapters of racism in American history.
Why would people treat them, or black people, differently just because of the color of their skin?
May I ask why you said black people like that?
I don't want to offend anyone.
Amelia, are you at all offended by this? I get it may be a more commonly and open discussion.
No, No, I mean, it's just history. It's reality. I just wish it was more commonly and comfortably talked about.
You are right, though. Black people were looked at differently. They weren't looked as people, but as property and inferior. The humanity was stripped from them, and they were given many degrading and terrible names.
Could that be why some people are hesitant to say black people?
Yes, it is actually, because American history is littered with racism, which has led to some unhealthy habits carrying on over time. Since black people at the time were viewed as less than, people today believe the term black people is offensive. In reality, recognizing it for what it is and who they are can lead to acceptance.
How do we learn to accept?
As Amelia said, we have to understand that this is history and reality. In some ways, people took a stand for acceptance, paving the way for others to do the same.
What does that mean?
Let's start with the history portion. The way you are feeling was the same way that many black people felt. Though because of the fatal consequences, not many had the courage to stand up for what they believed in. That was until the Civil War under Abraham Lincoln's presidency. You began to see more people speaking up. People like William Lloyd Garrison and Frederick Douglass. As a devout Christian, Garrison believed that he was led to advocate for the freedom of slaves. He founded the Liberator, an anti-slavery newspaper, believing the most efficient means toward abolition should be nonviolence.
Nonviolent, huh?
Frederick Douglass was an escaped slave who fled from Maryland to Massachusetts. His newfound literacy allowed him to look into Garrison's newspaper, and after hearing Garrison speak advocating for the abolition of slavery, Douglass was recruited to travel with Garrison. On their mission, Douglass authored his autobiography, which gained him attention all around, even outside of the U.S. at the time.
Outside of the U.S.?
Yes, Douglass got known in England after he fled there when his previous owners heard of his new success. In fact, many people treated him as equal.
So, when he told his story, he wasn't silenced?
Once the right people were able to hear what he had to say, it began to change everything. The outcome of the war, the way people viewed black people, and it influenced other black people to step up in the future.
So, everyone's story is important.
Very.
That's insane, guy.
Yes. And it didn't always stay that way, no. Following the Civil War, 3 new amendments were passed. The 13th is the ending of all slavery and involuntary servitude. The 14th is
all people born in the United States, including black people, the right to become citizens.
good. And the 15th,
Gave black people the right to vote.
exactly, and more specifically, black males. Women didn't exactly have the right to vote yet.
Yeah, that figures.
Yeah, this is where the nonviolence ends.
How come?
Well, because many slave owners in the South were upset that they lost their main source of income. And after the war and the Emancipation Proclamation, in their eyes, they were forced to share their rights with people less than them. And it became violent during the Civil War. Federal troops were placed in the South to help control the violence of the war. But after the amendments were passed, they were pulled. That is when violence rose, and you began to see white people intentionally harming black people in horrific ways.
Like killing them?
Unfortunately, but also in non-physical ways, such as verbal attacks. There were, however, non-verbal acts too.
Like segregation.
Yes. From the end of the Civil War to the late 1900s, black people were separated from partaking in similar activities as white people, such as voting, owning property, and getting an education. Many also didn't believe black people were deserved to share the same rights as white people. Slavery existed, but stereotyping wasn't. Slavery was illegal.
But our classes are more mixed now. Shouldn't the stereotyping have stopped?
What?
Never really ended, did it?
Black people's rights are more recognized today. They have more opportunities and more liberties, but they aren't always respected. Sometimes actions are still taken out of people's beliefs and the stereotypes of black people.
What stereotypes are held against a black teenager in a hoodie?
Anyone in a hoodie might look suspicious.
Anyone in the rain would look normal.
I looked into the event myself. It's difficult. In the end, I don't think it matters who is right or wrong, but it's the fact that someone is dead because of an unfair assumption.
Is this the heart of education, Miss Reese? The assumptions that are tied to me just because of the color of my skin? Tied to...
Trayvon. No, this is not the heart. This is the truth. The heart is what you take from this, what you do from this moment on.
What am I supposed to do?
Make a change. Help people understand that these stereotypes aren't true. By holding on to them, people has lost their lives and will continue to unless your generation says something about it.
How do I get them to listen?
Make a change. Make what you believe, make someone else believe.
Ma'am,
Yes, excuse me, ma'am.
How can I help?
I'd like to file a complaint.
About what
The
exactly?
school and how they're corrupting my son.
You're going to have to be more specific.
They gave him this damn homework assignment which led him to worry about things he shouldn't be concerned with.
My daughter had the same assignment. It caused her to have a great deal of anguish about the color of her skin.
You mean the teacher was talking on the topic of race?
Had
Yes,
to
I
be,
think
though.
so.
Had to be, or else my son wouldn't be feeling guilty about his own mother's death.
Do you know what subject this was by chance?
It was her history course, I believe.
All right. I'll discuss this with the board. Good day.
Emily?
Ronald? Is Erin really feeling guilty about her death?
Yeah,
That's awful.
it is.
Maybe I could talk to him.
No!
I think he needs someone who understands.
You don't think I understand?
Alice was my best friend too, like a sister to me. And I think we could both benefit from having someone to talk to.
You have your family.
I have a daughter who's concerned with the boy on the news that looks like her. She's beginning to ask her dad about his past, and I'm scared that when she finds out about his, she'll ask me about. And I can't tell her how the world will look at her. Probably already does.
Let her find out.
What?
Maybe it's time she finds out the kind of man Danny really is.
What do you mean by that?
I mean, he stole once before. Who's to say he won't result in taking a life?
Don't you ever compare Danny to Alice's killer.
In light of a recent consensus, as of September 1st, 2021, the legislation has passed the law that critical race theory will no longer be taught in the social studies curriculum in public schools. It is evident that students have been experiencing negative feelings from the current teachings, and it has been agreed that anything that may, quote, contain material that might make students feel discomfort, guilt, anguish, or any other signs of psychological distress may not be discussed or taught in the classroom. If an educator is reported to continue the discussion that falls under critical race theory, they may be suspended or lose their teaching license in that given state. Looks like a book.
Hi, Mel. How was school?
It was good. I just got a lot of homework.
Good, huh? Can't you just sit for a second and tell me about your day?
I can't. This homework is really important.
You can talk to me about it if it's important to you, sweetie.
Can I, Mom?
Of course you can. Why would you think otherwise?
Because every time I bring up Trayvon, it seems like you couldn't care less to talk about him.
You've never
The
mentioned...
black kid who was killed, Mom. See, it's not about what I feel is important, but only what you think is important.
That is not true.
Then let's talk about it. Let's talk about how I look suspicious just because of the color of my skin. How that could get me killed, and how crazy it is that somebody actually died because of those unfair assumptions.
How many times do I have to tell you to stop saying that word?
How much older do I have to get, Mom, before it finally costs me my life?
Mel, honey, what's wrong?
She doesn't understand that all I'm trying to do is protect her.
Maybe it's time we stop protecting her and start preparing her.
How, Danny? I couldn't do it before. How could I possibly do it now?
We start by telling her the truth.
I can't.
You don't have to do this alone, Emily.
The answer is no, Danny. At least not right now.
Then when, Emily? When do we let her know?
I don't know. And I might never.
It's not on her. She just cares too much. She reacted the same way whenever I told her my story, my run-in, as she calls it. Though I know she's afraid to call it what it really is. Crazy. It's true, I grew up in a segregated town. Not only the white kids made fun of me for being black, but the black kids made fun of me for being lighter than them. I didn't fit in anywhere. My mother could barely afford the bills. It all made me so angry. I wish that no one would have to live the life I was. I understood why I wore the clothes I did, why the other black kids did too. That didn't mean I had to accept it. So one day after school, I was tired of seeing the white kids with clothes that didn't have holes in them and shoes that fit them. So I went to the store that day. Knowing very well I didn't have enough money for anything. Whenever I got there, I got several looks from people, but the fire in me didn't care. I went straight to the men's section, picked out a couple items and measured them against my body, thinking how great it would feel to wear them even just for one day. Now a lot of people showed up that day. If I tried, I could have gotten away with at least one new t-shirt. But my mother would be disappointed in me. She raised me better than that. So I put the items back to how close I found them, and I began to leave. But before I left, the security guard stopped me, demanded he let him search me. I told him I didn't steal anything. He said, we'll see about that. A lot of people have come and gone inside that store. Now one of them being searched like how I was. Even women with big purses, or with guys with hoods over their heads. I soon understood why. Someone like me doesn't shop at a store like that. I told the guy I was not allowing him to search me, and that I insisted that I did not steal anything. He took that as disrespecting an officer. Before I knew it, I was on the ground, handcuffed. I spent the rest of the day in a jail cell, waiting for my mom to come get me. Whenever she came, I told her my story. She wasn't mad. She was upset. Upset that she couldn't afford the best for me, that I had to endure all that. That day I vowed no one in my family would ever have to live the life I did. I promised that to my mom then. I promised that to Emily whenever we found out she was pregnant with Amelia. But now I think that she doesn't believe I can keep that promise. But I will.
When you begin to learn something, take notes. Take them on. Taking your notes so that the person after you will understand. You always were known for writing your own thoughts.
What you got there? Is that your
Mom's
is that your
journal?
mom's?
Yeah.
Where did you give it to me?
No.
Give it to me.
No, Dad.
Either you give it to me.
Or what? Are you gonna try to keep me from learning from her? Like you're trying to keep me from learning in general?
What are you going on about?
What about the people who can't learn anymore? What about Trayvon?
What about him?
He was only 18 when he was put under. Way too soon. He wasn't able to go to school, college, get a degree.
Who says he deserves to?
What? Trayvon is not Mom's killer.
But someone like him is.
You don't get to assume that all black people are bad. I've got homework to do.
Wait. The journal? My wife's journal. Alice's journal. She took it with her everywhere. And it's the last thing of hers from that night. She was in school to become a teacher. She would keep all of her notes in here and everything else she wanted to learn about, which, as a woman in the future of education, is everything. She didn't believe in not talking about things. She hated the term controversial. I suppose that's why she liked her professor so much. He always encouraged his students to ask questions, and if he didn't know the answers, he told them to research it, and that was Alice's favorite thing. So one day she brought one of her questions home with her, the same day Ron was assigned his career project. Ron had to discuss his career, and he wasn't like the other second graders. He didn't want to be an astronaut or a football player. He wanted to be a teacher, like his mother. And when she heard, she was so excited. They began immediately. But about halfway through, Alice remembered that there was a library book that she thought could help. And I told her it was late. I told her not to go. She insisted. She said, if there's something my son wants to know, then it's my responsibility to teach him. But it was my responsibility to protect her from the world, from reckless drivers, from thieves and murderers. They took her from me, our son, and I had a new responsibility to protect murderers. Ron wanted to keep learning like his mother, for his mother, but I couldn't let him. The only lessons he needed to know were the ones that would keep him protected. Why would he need to know anything else?
Hey, do you mind if I sit next to you?
Go for it.
Were you able to get any more research done to your topic?
Not really. My mom isn't exactly a fan of this assignment.
Yeah, neither is my dad, though he's taking it personally.
Yeah, I think my mom is too, but she does not like to have serious conversations.
Yeah, neither does my dad. He has his fixed opinion, and anything outside of that is talking back.
So crazy, or messed up.
Yeah, but I mean, there's nothing we can do about it. We don't know the full story.
We're not old enough to know it yet.
Yeah, someone forbid we ask a single question.
Yeah.
Okay, class, let's get started. We're gonna pick up where we left off in.
Hey, Miss Reese, aren't you gonna ask us about our topics?
No, not today. We've got to cover the next chapter of our lesson,
What's the next chapter?
the American Revolution.
If it's anything like last class, I'm excited to learn.
Right? Miss Reese,
Yes, ma'am.
do you want us to just ask questions like last time?
Actually, I want you to pull out your notebooks and start taking notes.
Okay.
Miss Reese, can I ask why you're asking us to take notes? No disrespect, it's just different from what you're used to.
No, I understand, Aaron. The reason is it's outside of the curriculum. And now, please, everyone, take out your notebooks. I put the presentation on Classroom so you guys can follow along. Okay? Okay. So the time period will be 1775 to 1783. By now, there are the 13 colonies, and the inhabitants of these colonies were growing resentful of the British monarch. They were being taxed unfairly, otherwise known as
Taxation without representation?
exactly. They also felt that the government was imposing too much control over the colonies by making them repay the debt from the last war that took place.
The French and Indian War.
Right. So the colonists had already engaged in many rebellions, and the elites of the time, or known today as the Founding Fathers, got together at the First Continental Congress in 1774 to express their grievances. While this did stop the taxing, they decided they wanted to be independent from Great Britain after the Second Continental Congress. This prompted the start of the war, the following war, through a series of battles across the continent. While these battles were going on, the Declaration of Independence was drafted by Thomas Jefferson. We all know how his famous line, all men are created equal.
But when it says all men, it doesn't actually mean all people, right? For the time, it just meant white people.
But enslaved people were not included in this line, no.
If it didn't mean all people until over a century later, then why was this line included?
That's a good question. You should look it up when you get a chance. Okay, continuing on, the Declaration of Independence was like a breakup letter to England.
It says that it was supposed to be included in the Declaration of Independence. The Declaration was drafted by Thomas Jefferson, and he said that slavery was an abominable crime. However, he was a lifelong slaveholder. Fearful of dividing the fragile new nation, Jefferson and other founders who opposed slavery did not insist on abolishing it.
That is interesting, but let's get back to the lesson, okay?
Are you serious? What else does it say? Oh, sorry, I accidentally did that.
Okay, class, let's make sure you're looking at the presentation, okay?
What is critical race theory, and it's now being banned from being taught in schools? Miss Reese, do you know what this is?
Wait, what is it? Critical race something.
Critical race theory.
I'll look at it.
No, class, this is not what we're talking about. You need to stay on topic. Stick to the curriculum.
Race theory, does that discussing different races in school?
It says several laws are being put in place in several states.
In Texas, it says teachers cannot discuss this, and if they do, they must set a difference in both events.
Both sides?
Current events like Trayvon's death? How do you give both sides to that?
Who's dead?
You haven't heard the story?
Teachers say if they face this, they might face some fire.
Fired? For what? Talking about real situations?
Yeah, it's like our parents won't even talk to us about this stuff. And the one person that will, now it's illegal?
Real?
This is so
I
much.
don't
It's just
understand. Class!
I know this is a frustrating situation.
I just don't understand why you could get fired for real situations.
Is this why you didn't ask us about our topics?
Miss Reese, you're the only teacher we have who have these real conversations with us. Not all of us have that. Why are you being punished for it?
Not everyone sees it that way.
What do you mean?
Well, some actually see the teaching of critical race theory as harmful to students. It's been said that it teaches kids to feel better about their race because it paints white people as oppressors and black people as helpless victims.
That's not always the case, is it? I mean, you taught me that it's okay for me to raise my voice and make a change.
Because it is. You're right, it's not always the case. It's not always like that in history either. There are plenty of examples of black people standing up against their situation.
Like Frederick Douglass.
And William Lloyd Garrison. He wasn't black, but he wasn't a white oppressor either.
Exactly. But for the times that a black person was a victim and a white person was an oppressor, people today fear that lessons like those can give off the wrong message.
What message?
You have to feel bad about your race.
Feel bad how? I mean, in some cases, I do feel bad about what happened back then. But I don't feel guilty.
And you shouldn't have to. What they're missing is that teachers don't want to teach their students to feel bad about themselves, but to notice what is wrong in history in today's society.
American history is littered with racism.
Many aspects of our society are too. It's not to say that people are racist, but that many social institutions are. The problem is people tie themselves to these institutions and take it as calling people racist.
Well, if that's the case, then why are they banning this from being taught?
That is something I truly don't know the answer to.
If we can't learn the truth, then what's the point?
Make what's important to you important to someone else.
You were exactly right. Oh, in fact, I have homework assignments for you guys. I want you to go write a response to this new law. What are you going to do with this information? How are you going to make it important to you? Have a wonderful day, class.
Aaron, I was wondering if you wanted to maybe talk about the assignment later tonight. I know that we both said that our parents aren't exactly the most excited about this project, so I thought maybe we could keep each other motivated or something.
Yeah, it sounds great. Though it's just the one parent for me.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't know.
It's not your fault. It happened in like second grade. It's just been me and my dad ever since.
I'm sure it's been tough for both of you.
I mean, it was like 6 when it happened, but it did take pretty bad.
I'm sorry. I know a thing or two about that. My mom doesn't want me to know anything about her childhood, let alone anything about my dad's.
It must be really hard, not knowing your parents.
Yeah, but what can you do, right?
Yeah. I'll text you tonight.
All right, sounds good.
You too.
No matter the cost.
Hello, got your laundry.
Oh, thanks.
How was school? No?
Oh, it was good.
Good, huh? What are you looking at that's got you so distracted?
It's just research for an assignment.
Oh, really? What's the assignment?
It's not even what it
I
is!
was just kidding.
Huh? Oh, no, not you, Mom.
What's this assignment that's got you so worked up?
It's nothing.
It's clearly not nothing if it's got you yelling at your phone.
It's fine, Mom.
Now, I know we had this kind of discussion earlier, but I really want you to know that you can talk to me about anything that's important to you.
I don't feel like I can, okay? At least not with you.
Is this about the conversation you had with your dad?
No.
Is this about this assignment? What class is it for anyways?
No! And it doesn't matter. What matters is that I feel like I've never had one genuine conversation with you.
Is this about that Trayvon kid? Because if
No,
it is-
Mom! It's the fact that I don't know anything about you, about your past or Dad's. And then you tell me that I can talk to you about anything, but I don't feel like you've ever felt the same with me.
Well, I never wanted you to feel this way.
Yeah, well, I do.
I just wanted to protect you.
Protect me from what?
Did I ever tell you the story of your second grade graduation?
No,
Well, it's about what happened after.
I don't remember.
It's because you were so young and so precious at the time that I didn't want you to remember. Your dad was at work and couldn't make it, so I took you to Chick-fil-A afterwards to celebrate. You were so excited to go play in the playhouse, so I let you while I ordered. I would glance over and you'd be smiling. I could see you were even making friends. When I went to sit down with our food, you were already walking out of the playhouse, but your smile was gone. I told you that you could tell me anything. You were hesitant at first, but after I reassured you, you told me. You said that while you were playing with some of the kids, one kid started to follow you. You tried to keep playing, but the kid kept following you. Then they walked right up to you, Mel, and told you no one wants to play with you because you're black. Another little girl the same age as you. I didn't know what to tell you, so I just told you. I told you not to listen to those words. Plenty of kids wanted to play with you. Then you asked me why she would say something like that, and I had no words. I didn't know what I could tell my little girl.
Mom.
And then when we got home, Trayvon's case was all over the news.
Trayvon? His case isn't recent?
No, and I was just surprised as you were when I saw it on the news again. I didn't want to relive that day.
Mom, you could have told me.
How? How could I have told my precious little girl that the world already labeled her by her skin color? Labeled me.
Labeled you. Mom, you weren't even black.
No, but your dad is.
What does that have to do with labels against you?
I met your dad through a close friend. My best friend, actually. She knew what happened to you, and... But
It's okay, Mom. You can tell me.
that same night, she died in a car accident. And the driver was a black 18-year-old boy. And I know it was probably an accident, but that didn't stop people from labeling him as a murderer or a reckless driver, even though he died in the accident. I felt bad for him, for his family. They didn't deserve to lose their son.
You didn't deserve to lose your best friend.
No, but his life matters too. I learned that from her. Alice sympathized with your dad after hearing about his past, and I thought I could do the same for the kid. Not everyone agreed with my course of action. I was called. They called me.
You're not crazy for caring, Mom.
That's why I'm scared. I didn't know how I could tell you about this problem without a solution. I didn't know if I could believe your dad's promise.
What promise?
And no one in my family would ever have to live the life I did.
Dad,
I see you're finally preparing her.
preparing me for what?
The truth.
Does that mean I can hear about Dad's past now?
Alice did always say that true education came when you shared your heart with your child.
The heart of education.
The what?
Never mind. I'm ready.
Hey, are you about ready?
Ron, you busy?
I was actually just about to work on a homework assignment.
It's not that same assignment from last time, is it?
No, definitely not.
Good. When you're done, I need your help outside again.
Okay. Hey.
Thank you guys for telling me. Oh, that's my friend. We're supposed to work on an assignment together.
Should I say hi?
have a game to watch?
Okay, I can have an I wanted.
Love you.
Yes, love you, Mel.
Love you guys. Yeah, that was a good time.
Hey. Hey.
Hey.
Not too sure how long I can stay on the call. I had to help my dad out with some chores.
Oh, no, I understand. I don't think it should take too long.
Yeah, me neither. So, have you been thinking about your response to the ban?
No, not really. I actually just had a serious conversation with my parents, and it was really nice, actually.
Huh. Say anything interesting?
Yeah, a lot, actually.
Sorry, sweetie, just left the laundry bin in here.
Oh, no, you're good, Mom. Mom, this is Erin. Erin, this is my mom.
Hi, Mom.
Erin isn't Alice's son.
Your best friend?
You knew my mom?
Yeah. Oh my gosh, you're so grown up. She used to talk about you all the time.
Really?
Yeah, she used to talk about how curious you were, how you wanted to be a teacher when you grew up. Is that still something you're thinking about?
I hadn't thought about it much.
Oh, well, I know your mom would have loved to see you follow in her footsteps.
Yeah.
Well, I'll let you guys get back to your assignment.
Thanks, Mom.
Bye. What if the odds our parents knew each other?
Right? Is it true that you wanted to become a teacher like your mom?
I mean, yeah, but I was so young, and my mom never actually became a teacher. She was on her way to becoming one.
Because of the accident?
How did you...
My mom told me. And how a black 18-year-old was driving.
Was he really 18?
Yeah, I mean, that's what my mom said. Didn't your dad tell you?
No, not really. All he told me was that he was black, and that was pretty much it.
It's weird that he didn't tell you.
I'm guessing it's just as news to you as it is to me. Didn't y'all just have your first actual conversation?
Well, I mean, yeah, but she's your mom. You deserve to know.
My dad doesn't think so. All he cares about is convincing me that black people are bad.
What?
I know. I told you. My dad... My mom's death changed him.
What was he like before?
I don't really remember. My mom always used to talk about him, though, and every time she learned something new, she'd come home and tell him all about it. He seemed excited to learn.
Wait. Make what's important to you important to someone else. What if you talk to your dad as your response?
What do you mean?
Well, I mean, what if you convinced your dad that talking about your mom is important?
I doubt he would want to have that conversation.
Well, how do you know if you won't try?
I have tried, and he was pretty adamant about not wanting to talk about it.
Was yelling involved?
A lot of it.
Then try a different approach.
What do you mean? How did you do it with your mom?
Well, I was honest with her about how I felt, how it made me feel that she wouldn't talk to me, and it just kind of went from there.
You make it sound easy.
Ron, not done with that assignment?
Do it now. Tell Miss Reese about it tomorrow.
Okay, bye.
See ya.
I just got done, actually.
Good, now you come help me outside.
I was actually hoping we could talk about something.
We'll talk after we're finished outside.
Can we talk about it now? It's important.
Okay, what's going on, son?
Let's talk about mom.
What about your mother?
Max?
I've told you everything you need to know.
But did you ever bother to ask if that's all I wanted to know?
What else do you want to know?
But he was 18!
Doesn't excuse his actions.
That doesn't excuse yours either.
I wish you would finally understand why I have to protect you.
What do you mean? You cannot judge him by his actions. Neither can society.
Society knows what they're like.
What? No. It is not your place or society's to make assumptions on him. His life is just as important as mom's.
You think your mother would want you to sympathize with her killer?
I think mom would want me to keep learning, like she did. Man, whatever. Goodbye.
How'd it go?
About how I expected.
Really?
She even condoned the ban.
Doesn't make any sense.
I know. I don't understand.
Excuse me.
Yes, sir?
A
I'd like to report a teacher for teaching kids nonsense.
You're going to have to be more specific.
Critical race theory is banned, isn't it? But why is she still teaching it?
Do you have a name?
Of course I do. Miss Reese. My son is in her class.
I'll take care of it.
All right, class, let's pick up at the end of the American Revolution. I'm just kidding. Who wants to go first with their response? Oh, that's a, oh, okay.
Miss Reese, can I talk to you for a minute?
Yes, of course. I'll be right back, class. How can I help you?
There's been a report made that you are continuing to teach critical race theory in your class. Is that true?
What? I mean, yes, I've been encouraging my students to speak out about it in the law when the subject came up.
What subject exactly?
Well, the student was searching up a question about the American Revolution in the Ottawa newsfeed.
Okay, well, what question was it?
Is this really necessary?
It is if you want to keep your job. Now, what was the question?
She asked why the line, all men are created equal, was put in the Constitution when it doesn't mean all men.
You do know that you are creating discomfort with some of your students because you are teaching them that different sexes and races are not equal.
No, I was saying that in America that was the case. I'm not trying to make anyone uncomfortable, but if they feel that something is wrong, they have the right to say something about it.
Unfortunately, that falls under the critical race theory. I'm going to have to revoke your teaching license. We'll have a teacher for you at the end of the month.
No, wait, what about my kids? How will I let them know? What was that about, Miss Reese?
Miss Reese?
I have some unfortunate news. By the end of this month, I will no longer be your teacher.
What?
Plus, this is hard. This is hard for me to comprehend as well. Okay.
It's my fault.
Aaron, what are you talking about?
I told my dad.
Aaron, couldn't have known.
Yeah, you made yourself heard. That's all that matters.
But it got you fired. I got my favorite teacher fired.
Well, it's knowing that your response comes from the cost.
Cost.
Well, when I got into teaching was to educate kids about what's going on in our world today. And I want you guys, my students, my kids, to know how to learn and do something about what's going on today. And I knew that it would come at a cost, but I was willing to fight for your right to knowledge, no matter the cost.
How can you do that now if you don't even have a job?
I don't know. But I can confidently say that I have faith in each and every one of you. If you guys can hold on to what's important to you and make that important to other people, person by person, and I would say that my goal as a teacher is complete.
We will, Miss Reese. No matter the cost.
Even if I have to become a teacher myself.
Hey Ron, how was school today?
Sure.
You said about the report I made on your teacher, didn't you?
You know what? I am upset that you fired the one person that would talk to me about anything remotely similar to mom.
What does she know about your mother?
Nothing. And yet she encouraged me to be curious when my own dad wouldn't have a conversation.
It was for your own good.
For my own good? What's the point of learning if I can't even know the truth?
Your mother said the same thing.
What?
The night she left, she said the same thing. What's the point of education if you can't learn the truth about everything? In fact, she wrote it down.
I never knew that.
Because I never told you. I didn't want to lose you like I lost her.
Dad, you're human. You don't have to be what society says you need to be. And neither do they.
Your mother raised you well. She would want you to have this.
Are you sure?
Yes. And if you learn something, keep going. And maybe, when I'm ready to, You can teach me too. Come here.
Excuse me, are you Miss Reese?
Yes, ma'am. How can I help you?
Hi, I'm Emily. You're my daughter's teacher, Amelia.
Oh, yes, I am. Or I was. Amelia is a very bright student. She's going to do great things.
And I owe that all to you.
Oh, I can't take all the credit. You are her mother, in fact.
Yes, but not a very good one. I wasn't as willing to teach her about how the world is as you are. I have to admit, I was skeptical at first when she started asking questions.
Yeah, that was me. I told her to never stop asking questions. I'm sorry if I crossed any boundaries.
No, don't be. If you hadn't, I wouldn't have had the conversation I needed to with her. I wouldn't have learned that I needed to stop protecting her and start preparing her.
Oh, I'm glad.
What about you? Amelia told me when she got home, after everything you've done for her, it's unfair that you're being fired just because of telling the truth.
Well, sometimes things come at a cost. You have to risk that for the kids.
How do I know how to prepare her better?
Start to help her learn and learn with her. Make it important.
Thank you, Miss Reese.
So call me Alice.
Thank you.
Why didn't they know?
How do I get to know?
I have the right to know the truth.
Black people are not the stereotypes that people place upon them.
Every student has a right to know what's going on today.
We have to know.
They have to know.